Well, welcome back to another episode, everybody. So I know I've been putting this off, and I think it's time. I'm going to start doing the wiring, this whole mess. As you can see, I've kind of dabbled into it already. I'm going to go into what I've done. It's hard to videotape wiring. It's not like it's fun. So I don't know how to really do it, but I'm going to kind of give it my best shot. I've got a lot of videos I need to put up. I said I've been working faster on the car than I have been putting up videos, so I may even get to body and paint and may have another 15 or 20 to put up on other things that I have not edited and uploaded to YouTube. So I have to, excuse me for that one. Doing the best I can by myself. As I said, day job, working on the car and YouTube. It's a full-time 20-hour-a-day thing. So follow along and we'll see what I can do with this wiring mess. And hopefully any of the electricians out there don't cringe. As I said, I'm not an electrician, not my forte, but I've never had anything fail either in all the cars in the years I've done stuff like this. So I think that speaks for itself. So follow along and hit subscribe. Thank you. I got the wiring diagram in here. I put some basic tools and a chair. So we're gonna hop on in here, try not to hit my noggin. Because you spend a lot of time in this one location. And I'm going to take this thing off here. So what I've done is, here I've got a 4 AWG wire coming from my cutoff switch, which is over here. Okay. All my power is going to come off of this. This wire here goes to the battery cutoff switch. From there, it goes to a fuse on the passenger side engine wall. And then from there down to the starter, where then from there feeds into the battery. So it kind of does a little run. The alternator is hooked up directly to the battery, so I don't have to run the alternator feed or any of that stuff back into here. So this is my main point of power right here. I was going to put a distribution panel in here where this bolts into, then a bunch of wires can clip in. And I thought about it. I don't like the idea of just having these exposed lugs back there. So what I'm thinking of doing, and here's where I'm sure the electricians are going to cringe, I'm thinking of just taking this lug and then some of the connectors that I've got here, like this, which both need to go to battery, I'm going to just kind of group these up on here, put a bolt through there, tighten it up, wrap it in some electrical tape, throw some of the convoluted tubing over the top, wrap it back up again, and I don't see why that won't work. Yeah, is it the right way to do it? Is it, having a distribution panel? No, but you know what? It works. I actually did that on my Cobra and never had an issue. I said that thing wiring, never a problem. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. As you can see here, I've already got my AC all wired up. So it comes in here, wraps up and around. It does this big loop thing, and then it's going to come back up into here and plug back in. I could strip that whole thing down and probably combine all that into one. Yeah, I didn't like the idea. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is because it lays out perfect right where it is. It's kind of tucked in there nice. Here I've got my power for my AC. What I've started to do is for the heater and the AC. So it comes into the heater wire, which is this brown one right here, out of the the Factory 5 wiring harness. So I've cut that one way back, and instead of starting to splice everything together, I'm just taping it for now till I get everything laid out. This one cuts into my fuse relay, which I'll have to come back into here and get that. This here goes to, I gotta look here. This goes to my Willwood electronic parking brake. I've actually tied into the radio. I think that's the radio wire coming out of the harness. That'll be perfect for the EPB. That is also what they call the low power. That just kind of wakes it up and gets the brain inside going. The main power that basically will power the calipers is here. This gets wired, I think, it's got a 40 amp fuse on the back. Oh, sorry about that. This one's going to get wired also right into the battery lug up into here. So that goes directly to power. I think there's a 40 amp fuse into there. And then from there, you've got all these wires here, which are a lot of the gauges on the dash, indicator lights, all that stuff. That's probably going to come back around this way like this. Sorry about that. Come back into like this, and I'm thinking about cutting all these things off and just hardwiring it, or I might even do better, and since these are all kind of back up into here, I can cut these back into here, and come straight at it that way. That'll eliminate a whole ton of mess back up here. Definitely going to be a lot of work, but I think in the long run, I'm going to avoid this whole mess here. These wires don't have to be so long. I could probably snip them right after here, so I still have all the labels on there. And I'm really thinking that's probably going to be the way to go. So that'll really clean up this whole mess into here. This is for the rear harness here. I don't know what this one goes for, actually. Fan, thermo, oil, temp, pressure. Oh, those are my my sensors, which I'm not using, so I'm going directly off the speed hut. Yeah, and then to tie everything down, I'm using these things here where you put zip ties through it. I'm trying not to put holes through this panel. I'm doing all I can to avoid that, just because I don't want someone to see back in there and holes through that thing. So that's why I'm trying to go everything up top here. May not work. I may end up going, you know, holes back into here, but for right now, that's what I'm going to stick with. So now to show you all this and to sit there and try to detail it out, I don't see the point, because it's, you know, as I said, a lot of this stuff, like here we've got this wire here is battery feed. So this basically comes in from the solenoid, I think, and it goes around to, I'm not sure, probably the ignition switch. And then everything, the feed power comes off of that. So this power line here just does a big loop. So I'm thinking I'm going to strip that one out. This one here, the other one, which is, let's see, hold on here. I think that might be accessory feed or battery feed. So the battery feed's here, which does a big loop. So so there's, as I said, there's a lot of stuff I can diet out of all this. And I'm going to slowly do it, and I'll try to document what I'm doing along the way. So as I said, it's hard to kind of show and do, and it'd be a very boring video. But you get the idea of what I'm doing, and I'll just kind of give you some you know, heads up. So we'll hop back out of here. So follow along. As I said, this is maybe a multi-part video. As I said, I'm going to try to throw up what I can, but I said wiring's just not... We'll do what I can. So thanks again for watching, and subscribe. Okay, so I'm still working on the wiring here. I'm thinning this whole thing out, moving things around. As I said, this whole harness has got to come back on itself. I think I'm going to cut these. You know, the headlight here, these are for the high beams, which those are going to be back all the way over to here. So I'm going to have to run these all the way back. I kind of cleaned these up. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can pull those, how far back I can pull those, and then maybe not have to go to this connector up here. Don't know. Be honest with you. Oh, let me get out of the car here. This is my second factory 5. If I do another one, which, you know, odds are I will, I'm not going to use the wiring harness. I think it'd be easier to wire it from scratch. You buy a fuse panel, they make some nice ones, even marine rated, really good stuff out there. And then just buy a bunch of wire and go to town. Honestly, I think, you know, I just think that it's probably more work to go through and clean up their harness and make it fit your application. Now, don't get me wrong. If you just want to get one together and you want to just, you know, throw the harness in the way they recommend, put all the switches where they recommend, everything where they recommend, their harness works fine. But as soon as you start modifying things, moving switches around, moving gauges around, all bets are off. So as I said, this is going to take me a while to get through this thing. As you can see, it's a mess. It's getting cleaned up. I'm kind of pulling out stuff. You can see where I went over to the battery cable with the main battery feed. As I said, I'm just going to bolt those together right into here. I know electricians are going to go, they're going to cringe, but you know what? It'll work. It'll work well. It'll be safe. Actually safer than putting in a junction block with, you know, exposed lugs or anything like that. So there'll probably be 2 or 3 wires going that. And then I got to get the relays in, because I'm going to have the one switch on my panel. Let me flip this over. So this switch right there, it says power. That is going to power up the entire car. So I've got a major relay. Where the hell are they? In this mess somewhere. Good question. Somewhere I've got some big relays. I got 2 of them. I don't know where the hell they went to. Maybe they're inside of here. I don't know, I'll have to hunt them down. This is part of the problem with working with this. But I'm going to put in a couple of big relays, and that one power switch will power up the whole car. And then the ignition switch will fire up the ignition side of that fuse panel. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So in the manual, you can see here, we'll go over to my bench here. Just trying to help people out the best I can with some of this wiring stuff. So if you can see here, the battery feeds, the ignition switch here, and that also comes back and feeds over to the solenoid, the starter solenoid here, comes in battery feed here. So this is the main battery feed, and then from here it branches over, comes down, and then picks up the ignition switch, and that's where it feeds in everything. So the accessories get fed from here when you turn the switch to accessory or to run. So this area here in your fuse panel, the battery feed is always hot. As you can see, it comes in battery feed right here and feeds this whole thing. So it feeds your brakes, horn, cooling fan, and headlight switch, radio, memory, courtesy lights. So that whole thing is always hot. Accessory is only hot when you actually turn the key to accessory or to run, and then it fires up, which you've got your wiper, heater, and gauge and radio here. And then your ignition feed, that's a whole nother animal. So when I hit my power switch, it's going to power up the battery feed and the accessory feed. The ignition switch is going to feed all of this. That's the way. So if you look at my panel down here, see where you got ignition and power. So the ignition will not only, ignition is going to turn on all this and send the signal to the Coyote to wake up. And then you got the start momentary switch, which is not really, well, it's in, well, not really will be in there. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, and I can eliminate, a lot of this. Like you see the wire here, red alternator feed comes here, goes down. I mean, they go back and forth between these two to power one or the other. I'm going to eliminate a lot of that and make it just one relay that's going to power a good chunk of the fuse panel. So simplify it, yes. Different, yes. As I said, I'm not going to have a start switch in this. There will be no start switch as far as a key or anything. There is no key in this. But I do some electrical things to it. Let's just say that I don't want to get into it because the car can't be stolen unless you know what switches to hit in what order. And I'm not going to get into what I do because if anybody watches this video, the car is then very easy to steal. But if you don't, the odds you get in the car started are pretty slim to none. So, and I can always take the battery key out too, which then will kill everything in the accessory, ignition, main power to the car. The starter's still hot because the power does run through the starter. So I'll probably throw this video up and then maybe throw another one as I'm dieting these wires out. As I said, this is gonna be a long process of cleaning these things up. The Cobra I didn't clean up as much. I don't know why. I think I just got tired at that point, and so I just kind of ran with it and looped a couple of back on itself. But as I said, this whole harness here, I think I can bring this back into here and go straight up into the dash, since most of these are all dash things. They're gauge feeds, they're grounds, they're tack feeds, they're all the stuff that I can bring those back into here and never have to look back on them. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. I can eliminate all this. At that point, this thing will start looking pretty clean. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. So bear with me. I'll do the best I can to get this electrical stuff going, as I said, but it's tough to show. So thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll probably throw up another electrical video. So thanks a lot. Have a good one.